The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network. Any questions or concerns about what is said should be directed to the show host, whose information will be provided upon request. Hey everybody! Welcome to today's episode of Let's Do This Talk Show. Today we're getting a little into it. Yes. We're talking about leadership.
All right.
Leadership on all different spectrums of it. Before we talk about that, why don't we do introductions?
All right. Hi, I'm Bernadette Browner from BB Coaching and Consulting. I'm the CEO and founder of this great organization. I have just switched my motto to personal finance coaching for the family and individuals. So I will be empowering women through financial literacy.
Okay. I love your shift.
Oh, thank you.
I love that it's focusing on one area, and finances is like a key thing. Yes. So I love that, and I can't wait to see what that brings about.
And took away some great feedback from a meetup we did, and I revised it.
Great.
Good,
awesome.
Good. Yes.
Awesome.
I'm Katrina Martin with the Global Next Gen Event Center. We're located in Clinton, Maryland. Other than the Global, I also have my own Business Next Gen Powerhouse, which we inspire women, men, adults. It's a safe haven place where you share, different life experiences and come together as one. So other than that,
awesome.
Dream.
Hey, it's your girl, Adrienne Howard Peterson. I am the founder and CEO of Do It, delivering on ideas and thoughts. And you know what I do in a nutshell? I help turn dreamers into doers. And I do it from two aspects, from career management and development, and also from a business aspect. So last week was great. We had people to come in and talk about careers. I think that the segment today kind of transitions into that a little bit. We're going to be talking about leadership, not only in corporate America, but leadership as a whole. Right. So while you all get tuned in and start thinking about that, let's share a little bit about our weekends. So, weekend. What did you do, Trina?
Weekend.
I know, hold on. What we do?
Okay, well, I'll go first. So, weekend, our book came out, and I am so proud of this project, and I almost wasn't in it, but then when I looked at the title of it and the whole purpose of it, and my next phase is exactly what my business is. It's aligning careers and business. So a lot of my clients come to me from a career. That's how I first get introduced to them. Then when I start asking them not only about their goals in terms of their career or a job, we start talking about what is it that you want to do. And they'll be like, you know what? I've been thinking, I've been dreaming about. So it kind of aligns the two. So my specific chapter talks about how do you align your 9-to-5 job with your side hustle? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. How can I forget? You know what I did this weekend? I had an amazing workshop, and it was called "Who's Guarding Your Mind?" And Allison Daniel was the facilitator. It was an amazing event. It touched us so much, and she did a shift in her 7 steps that really blessed me and another young lady.
Awesome.
And it was so good. She said that she normally wouldn't put this step in there, but God told her someone that needed it, and it was 2 of us that needed one of those steps.
What
so
a blessing.
it was truly a blessing. So I'm just thankful for that. And then I had celebrated Deborah, a sister friend of mine, her 50th birthday.
There we go, the 69, baby.
Hey, Deborah. So that was really nice at the Chart House. So that was nice.
Good.
So I remember mine was it was a mixture of business, and I had an open house for my real estate. So I did. I pretty much had focused on that this weekend, and then also condolences to one of my BFFs, Allison. Her brother, she lost her brother. Her brother passed on Sunday. So we were down at the hospital and we kind of consoled the family. So that was my weekend. I had to think about it, but
and I need to circle back. I'm sorry. And then later on that evening after that, I went to a girls meetup, a bonfire, and it was a really, really nice event. Just talking through things. I wasn't feeling well, but happy birthday to Lynn.
Okay.
Lynn had her sleepover that I was supposed to attend, but I couldn't make that. So happy birthday, Lynn!
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so that was pretty much my weekend. I see y'all fan, and let me help y'all out a bit.
yes.
So that was pretty much my weekend. And so we're going to jump right into the topic and get started with what's going on. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, leadership is not only from corporate America. A lot of people focus on it from that level. So we're going to talk about a couple different things. We're going to talk about the 5 levels of leadership, leading at all levels,
Right.
leadership principles. Bernie's going to lead that discussion, and then the leadership shift. So that's where we're gonna make sure that we save time for that. That's when people move into a leadership role, and there are certain struggles that are identified that people normally have.
Right.
So we're going to talk through the struggles that people often have when they are transitioning from an employee to a leadership, or when they shift from a worker bee to owning their own.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so let's jump right into it. The first topic is the 5 levels of leadership. And actually, how I numbered it up with 5 is from John Maxwell. So his points that he pulled, and level 1 is position, level 2 permission, level 3 production, level 4 people development, and level 5 pinnacle. So we're going to walk through and talk through those. So the first one, position. It's the only level that requires no ability or achieve.
Right.
Like, basically, you are placed in that role
Position,
and
right.
responsibility
Right.
for one reason or another. And that's saying, like, when you are placed in a position not based on anything, and it could be from favoritism or whatever it may be, but it has a less impact than someone who has earned it or someone who's been placed in it for, like, their skill set.
Right.
And we can imagine going through this on our job when people are placed in positions and you just be like,
How did they get
Look,
there?
how did they get that position?
how did that happen? And it ends up being like a setup for the person because of some ill wills. But number two is permission. And this based on relationships. At this level, people choose to follow you because they want to.
Right.
So a leadership in terms of the level 2, people are not like following you because you were placed in that area. They develop a relationship with you and
Because
they
of
follow
you.
you.
Right.
So this can be from empowerment. If you are attached to someone who empowers you, you would normally follow that person because you want to.
Right.
When you're leading
Right.
and going.
Right.
And by all means, feel free to chime in.
Right.
And number 3 is production. And this is pretty much at the level where people are following you because of your track record. So it may not necessarily be like they link to you for your personality, but they link to you because of the knowledge that you have or things that you have with, like, for example, for coaching with clients. If you have shown results driven with your clients, they're going to normally attach to you because they want that result.
Right.
If you have created something beautiful like a cake or an experience, they want that. So they're going to follow you because of that.
The product. Okay.
Yes. Number 4 is people development. So at this one, it's like reproduction. Your goal is that you have reached a level and you want to give back.
Right.
And you want to create a form or people where you can reproduce the
Right.
skills and the greatness that you've learned. So one of the things that I always do when I encounter something great and something that I really like, I be like, oh, some more people need to experience this, and I share that resource,
Right.
or share that information
Right.
with other people, and that's the level, because at this level, your goal is to identify and develop as many leaders as you can by investing in them and helping them to grow.
Right.
So
Because
that
it's cyclical. You want the repeat.
yes,
It's like
yes,
you're making another person.
Yes.
You pour into them, you mentor and coach them, and then
And it's
they
expanding.
start doing the same thing.
yeah, and that's probably like one of my when I was reading and following John Maxwell, that was one of the things that I was like, I read that level right there.
Right.
It hit me at a point, and I intentionally made sure that I built people up.
Right.
That I took
Right.
whatever I had to build people up. And number 5 is Pinnacle. They create a legacy in what they do. People follow them because of who they are and what they represent.
Right.
So in other words, your leadership gains a positive reputation, and leaders often transcend their positions, their organization, and sometimes their industry. So this is like the highest level,
Right.
according to John Maxwell. So it's no longer you leading, and it's basically like if you own a company and you start having franchises.
Right,
It's that level of
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah. So those are his 5 levels, and for me studying in school, that was something that I followed, like in
Right.
getting my MBA. A lot of my articles and a lot of information that I pull, it would be straight from John Maxwell,
Yeah,
because
he's
I
very
really like enjoyed all of his information and what he did and how he broke it down.
Right.
All right. So anything before we shift to topic 2, which is leading at all levels.
No.
All right. So leading at all levels is just as it sounds.
Right.
Like no matter what position that you're in, a mother, a coach, a coach of a team, or a coach of a coach, and also in the workplace. Like there's so many leaders. You have young kids who are leaders. You have older folks who are leaders. So when we think about it, and it ties into like the topic of the question, leaders, are they born or are they made?
Right.
Are they born or are they made? And for me, and I'll ask you all your answers, but for me, it's a mixture of both of them. It's a mixture of both. Some people come out the womb
Right.
and that's just their personality that goes into it. But it doesn't mean like you can't be a leader. And a lot of times when kids are younger, parents kind of like put that in their head. The sharp ones, that's good. You're going to be a leader, so it builds up their self-esteem. But the ones that are shy or something like that, who are not really told that, as they come up, sometimes they think that they can't be a leader. They think that it's not a natural born thing. But I honestly feel that no matter what a person has or whatever their skill set is, they're a leader of something. There is something that they have inside of them, whether it's their purpose, their passion, whatever it is, and they can lead in that area. So yeah.
I to tap into that, I do feel that everyone has a certain uniquely skill set. Whether it is of leading others or leading a particular situation, particular matter or something like that. Everybody may not can lead other people, but they can lead something.
Right.
Like you said. So, and it's a matter of tapping into it. And sometimes when you see your kids, you say, okay, I see this strength in her. I see this strength in them. And when you tap into it and they identify at an early age and you channel it in that positive direction.
Yes.
Because some leaders can go in another direction if you don't really know how to channel it, because leaders, they, like you said, natural born leaders, they are born to take charge.
Right.
And then some people, they sometimes can take charge, they can take charge in a negative way. Meaning, you know, bossy,
That's a
want to
very
run
good
thing.
point.
So if you tap into it and you stir it in a positive direction, and then that's how you build that leadership upon that leader skill. So I
That's
get
very
it.
good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
That's good. I If you had asked me this question some time ago, maybe 10 years ago, I would say you are born a leader. But over the last few years of my life, I've learned that there's a mixture of both.
Right.
Because you can't take an individual, as Ladrine said, and develop them into becoming a great leader. You know, so you have to make sure the skill set that they have, you try to, like you said, even in your children, channel that, give them trainings to bring them up to be a great leader.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And the other thing that I'll say to that, like, I know I've been talking about individual development plans for like a long time, and I believe those not just for your career but for your life as well.
Yes.
And for me, and I talked last week about me being back into the supervisory role this week. But the one thing that, and my staff is small, which makes it perfect. But the one thing that I've already hit upon was all of them will have an individual development plan. And the reason why, like, I find like that is such a critical tool that people should use is it taps into your creativity and it makes you think in terms of what you want to do. So what I say to my staff members is, I know what your duties are, I know what the position description says, and you must do that. That's your job and that's how you're going to be rated. But what do you want to do? And then attach them to a project or let them be creative in thinking. That's when you really go deep down. Like, I can't stand micromanagement. I love when I'm given the opportunity to do something because I'm going to think to the maximum of what it takes. So, yeah. And then the second part of that is be your own leader. Stop counting on other people to tell you what to do, how to do it. And I mean this even when it comes to your job. Yes, you have a supervisor, and in almost every aspect of life except if you're your own boss, there are levels to everything where there is some hierarchy. But just because there's someone over top of you, it doesn't mean that they have control over you. So stop looking to everybody to be the whole everything and to design everything. What do you want to do? What do you want? Like, play your role in it, and then it'll be that much more enrichment for you.
I'll say that sometimes, and it's good to get opinions of others or get their input on things, but there are times where you have to tune out everybody because, for an example, sometimes too many opinions, when you take too much of that on, you start to get cloudy, and you lose your own independent plan, you lose your own focus, and what it does is it delays your process because you go back to the beginning of the drawing board again. You done added what somebody else done added in, and it's taking you off your own path. So you do have to include others with your final product to get input. Yes, you definitely need that. I mean, you can't just go boom boom, it's my way or the highway. But I think there are some times where you have to tune out, get some quiet time, you and God, pencil and paper, and just come up with your own independent plan, and then you seek outside for advice.
And most of the time the outsiders are the confirmation, not the dictation. So don't get that mixed up. Like, don't get it mixed up. It's okay for you. I know when we are thinking of things, and of course when they seem so great, we get a little nervous or even scared sometimes. But that's your relationship with God or whomever your higher being is. But like, people will be placing so many times. I know that you have said, like, oh my God, somebody has said something to you that you just now felt and you just now thought. And it's like, why can't we always have trust in ourselves? Like, why do we need the validation from somebody else? But it's not all bad, you know, in terms of validation, but you shouldn't need the validation from other people. Validation is great, but it shouldn't be like your need. So again, be your own leader. Like, be responsible for yourself, whether it's your career, your business, your family, your life. Don't let anybody dictate your life. So be a leader of you.
And I'll say, with the shift that I'm going through a shift. And I finally decided to call a meeting. Now, I've been pondering on this business thing, pondering within myself. And I finally, okay, let's just call a meeting and
Yes.
let's just wrap this thing up. So hey, I had to tune everybody out, come up with my own plan, and now I'm getting ready to bring it to the table.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And don't it feel good?
Yeah,
And especially
yeah.
in for you, I'll say, because I know you personally, you are a collective person. It's like, all right, y'all, what y'all think? And then that's when it's going to go. So now to even hear you say that, like, I'm proud of you. Yeah.
That's good too.
All right.
Real good.
So y'all ready to shift to the next one?
Sure.
Yes.
So the next one is leadership principles, and Bernie has some very good questions that that tie into this. So I really want y'all to think about this in terms of leadership principles. What does it take to be a leader? While I think that everybody can be a leader and everybody is a leader, it's in certain things. So now with like supervisory. Everybody is not meant to supervise. And one of my recent posts I shared about me work. So I work for the Food and Drug Administration. So I work with a lot of scientists. They're brilliant, smart as ever. But when it comes to supervising, they are horrible, like horrible. And so my point that I made with that was just because someone is technically sound,
Right.
it doesn't mean that they will be great as a supervisor.
Right.
You can be smart as a whip, but the skills of a supervisor
More
are
than that.
totally different, and
Right.
not just from a technical standpoint. Those are those soft skills that people are often missing.
Right.
Yeah, so you
That's
can
true.
jump into the question.
So I wanted to know, like, what is the secret sauce? This was a question that I came across in research. Like, what are some leadership principles that a leader must have? And some of the answers can be they must be able to manage themselves. They must have a level of influence. They must be a great listener and communicator.
Okay.
They must have wisdom. They must be able to follow. Sometimes we have leaders that only want to lead, but I think a great leader also knows how to follow. And then another one would be a good principle. They must be able to drive change.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, those are some that I came up with.
Yeah.
When you come to the secret sauce of being a great leader.
So for me, my number one, and this is from my personal experience, is ethical. So no matter what, I made the determination, and I stuck to it. Like in all things, ethics in this environment, and especially in the federal government, you can get caught up into politics, and that's one of the things that I said from day one. And thank goodness, like I never got caught up and never got captured, and they know like up front, don't bring in don't bring any nonsense or anything illegal, anything like and I work in HR, so I'm policy, so I'll be like, come in, Mr. Senior Executive, we need to have a talk, and I will openly, honestly let them know like what's going on. So that was my number one, and my second one is focusing on strategy, like in strategic planning. So one of the things that we get caught up into our own job, and when we get caught up in our own job, believe it or not, you think that you're engaged in it, you're watering it down. If you don't have your mindset on the big picture, and I know, like even in my friends, even in my personal life, every time I'm thinking about the big picture, and you definitely have to pay attention to what's ahead of you. You have to, or you will miss it. Exactly. That was a lesson that I had to learn, because I was always focused on the big picture. I was missing what was right there. So it's a balance of the two. But for my job, that's been the secret sauce to my success. I always look at the strategic plan not of my office, my group. I look at it of the agency. So I figure out what are the high priorities and initiatives, because that means that's where the funding is going to go. And then I also look at it from a standpoint of what are the problems surrounding this, and how can I come up with solutions.
And that's one of the questions I had. Strategic plan, and how do you put your strategic plan into reality? And you just basically you align it with the organization's strategic plans. So that's good. And another question. Let me give my little few. I just have a few.
my first one, it was lead by example. You know, you can't expect for your team to do one thing and you do the total opposite. So that was the lead by example. Integrity. I'm big on integrity.
Yes.
Your word is your bond. If you're going to say you're going to do it. Another one is include your team. Don't always think that your decision is always the only decision.
Right.
And then when the final product comes out, you get all the praise. I mean, always include your team. Always include your team. And then my last one is you have to be teachable. Like you can't expect to have all the answers. Without, because you said, like you said, be willing to take in as you give out. You take in because we're all. Nobody knows everything, so you all have to be teachable.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So those were my pointers.
And this was a good one. Who opened the doors for you? You know.
Yeah,
I spoke my whole little list out last week. I know them by name, by first name, by last name.
Oh yeah, I heard
experience that we had.
But
doors. It even goes back further to my teachers. Yes. I don't remember my pre-K or Head Start teacher, but I remember my kindergarten teacher, and I remember all of my teachers who made a serious impact on me by telling me, oh my God, you're smart. And I always go back to my 6th grade teacher, may she rest in peace. She's my cousin also, Katie Barino. She's my cousin as well as my teacher. And although my teachers told me along the way that I was smart, she was the one that made me really realize that I was smart. She poured into me. She pushed me to excel to a level of no beyond. And then all my teachers, Mr. Bethia from Hart, I'm not gonna go through all of them. It's always like one, and my math teacher from high school. Like I soared so high on the math scores, and I used to play and call her aunt. They thought I was her niece for real, and was like, because I was the
Which
one
was that?
who got an A at H.D. Wilson.
Oh, at Wilson.
My calculus teacher, and that was the only one that got an A in like 10 years. They was like, that's because you her niece, and I was like, yeah, okay, but yeah. So I already talked about from a career standpoint last week. Everybody, give him hold, the Mac Lumpkin, and I'm not gonna go back through them again.
Now, I would say this. Mine was on a real estate level.
Okay.
When I first got my license, my girlfriend, Pam, her and her husband, this is just exactly words. They were saying, we're going to give you the opportunity to find us a house. It was my first deal. I had no experience. And so they opened up that first door for me. Yeah.
Well, you found them a house. That's a very nice house.
No, this was
another one.
Yeah, this was they wanted investment property.
Oh, okay.
So I had found them some investment property. But from me doing that, that's when Pam, I'm like, hey, you gotta come join the game.
Okay.
One thing about real estate is, you know, people start asking you questions like, oh, so how much money? And they start saying on them papers how much money you making. You say, oh, come on, join in the game. So when she saw how the deal went and how much money I made off of that deal from them, that's when Pam got into the game, and I was like, "Come on!" So we ended up teaming up from there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So definitely,
that's nice.
So
how about
me,
you?
It's so many people that open.
And I know you mentioned somebody last week.
Yes, I did. So
yes, you did. She did.
I have a whole bunch of people, but I'm recently, and my sister friend Cynthia Best Coleman, she didn't realize how much of an impact. And another one, Vita, she helped me. Both of those ladies helped me and was very impactful in my life. Cynthia helped me in the aspect of my career, and Vita helped me personally when I was down and out, had nowhere to go. I was in a position that I really needed some help, and she helped me get this apartment. And man, I am forever grateful to both of those ladies, and they are very dear to my heart. Actually, that was her that Vita was the lady when we were in Ross together. You might not remember.
And when you started talking to her, she had the
little bandana.
Yes. Oh wow!
That was
wow!
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So she said she saw herself in me. So it propelled her to help me. And oh my gosh, she changed
your life.
It helped me so. I was at the best. I wrote about it in my book. And the
Yes.
book was Sherwood. So she was one of my angels. So it's just good to have a village. I'm telling y'all, it's so
Wow.
so good.
Most
and
definitely.
people open those doors, whether it's personal or professionally. You really have to really thank them. And I'm glad I was
Wow.
able to let them know now.
And that's true about like the village, and I say that as like transitioning from an introvert. Like I was cool being by myself until I realized what it was
How
like
much
being
fun
around
is
other
that?
people. So and I mean, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy time to myself, but I enjoy people. And I used to actually, it's bad, but I used to be like, I don't like people. I like maybe one or two people. But that used to be my little saying. Like I didn't really like mess with people. Now I really enjoy my friends, my
Right.
sisterhoods, my
Right.
encounter. I like people now.
Yes, your friend, and your friend.
I was not even gonna go there.
Yes,
So
but
what
I'm
else
just
you
going.
got?
I'll name two more.
Okay.
I think that are good. What are the keys to developing next leaders? And I think that it's important for people that are in the power influence to share their stories
Yeah.
and to help. That's a key to help someone that aspiring to be like them. And I'm seeing that more and more. People are being a little more open now with their
Yes.
stories,
Yes.
helping them.
Yes.
And also, they're giving them leads to help them. They're giving them opportunities to help build them to become a leader just as they are. So it's a lot out here for everybody. We
It
don't
really
have to be the
is.
crab in the box because we can help. Each one help one. That is really one of my mottos. If you help one person, you've helped 1,000. You know, so I think that's a good key to have, developing the next person.
Yeah. And I'll kind of like coincide with Trina said earlier, leading by example. Like so many people are watching you, and you have like no clue at all. Even at your party, like so many people came up to me and was like, "You on a radio show?" And I was like, yes. They was like, "We watched the show," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was somewhere vending, and people came up like Ladrine Howard Peterson. I'm like, "Oh, that's a Facebook friend," because you know what I mean.
No,
And so
yeah, that goes
never
to show
know,
you who's
like,
watching you.
who's watching you,
Uh-huh.
and who you are making an impact on, whether negatively
Right.
or positively.
Correct.
So, and I'm not saying to perform or to do like whatever, be you with yourself, but just know like people are watching
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
People are watching you and can make a tremendous impact on
Yes.
on people's lives. That's
Yes.
a good question.
Yeah, you know what else I noticed in leaders and the future leaders or people that's starting to be developed or pushed into leadership, they don't have a work/family balance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's important, just as much as you give to that job, you must
your
give to your
family.
family.
Yes.
That's so very important. And what do we call them? Workaholics, worker bees.
Yeah, like,
you know, and you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
you
have
hear
to be-
stories of,
you hear stories. You see people.
yeah.
I see it on my job. But the thing is, and I noticed the workaholics think that I am not. I don't maybe like my job as much as them because I'm not there 15 hours. That's not true.
Right.
You have to have boundaries and you have to
Yeah,
separate
balances.
I
because
totally
you
agree with
have
that.
to have a work family life balance. I really agree with
Yeah,
that.
and I've had conversations with individuals who have work, and even though they may have provided at home, but they were not actually there at home
Exactly.
in person. And once the kids get older, they grow some type of resentment for that, or they feel some type of way. They have issues with it. So it is definitely a twist to that when people feel like, well, long as I'm working to pay the bills and my
Right.
family is not in need
Right.
financially, but your family is in need of your presence. So that's one thing to
Yes.
keep in mind with those who just want to work, and you're away from home, especially when you have those kids and things
The
like
small
that.
children.
That's one of the things that I can definitely like. I was so guilty of that. I was engulfed in my job, and I would like said it like and like I said with Paula, like when we tag team it was a little bit better. We'd be like, all right, 30 minutes, that's it. When I moved to my position where I didn't have a staff originally and it was just me, oh my God, I kind of like got so engulfed in my job that it was like crazy. While I was in it, of course I didn't realize it, and of course great things were happening. Every week I would get an award, but it wasn't even about the awards and everything that was going on. I truly, genuinely love my job. And then the sad piece of it is like, when I was on the beach reading books, it would be, girl, I would be editing documents. I would tell my staff, print out instead of sending them to me electronically. Girl, I had my pen and I would be on the beach relaxing, but doing my job. My job was my joy. I enjoyed my work, like really, really, really enjoyed it, like so much on all aspects of it. So, but that's one thing when I look back at it, over time, getting into that pattern, like you talking about 12 hours. And I remember one night I was working and I kept on saying, let me go ahead and do this, because I had meetings all day. So after, and then I had a staff, and then afterwards I would be able to do my own work. And that's pretty much how it went. That's why be respectful of your supervisors and your leaders, especially working leaders, because they have their own work too. But the last piece I'll add to it, I remember it was, I kept working and kept saying, let me do one more thing. Let me do one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. And I looked up. It was like between 11:30 and 11:40 p.m. And I said, I will not be in this office the next day. I hurry up, just stopped and got my stuff and got in the car and was like, you need to check yourself. And you need, because it would have been the next day. And the only reason why it really got me is that our credit hours was different. You couldn't earn credit hours before you do. And I used to give away 100 hours and 100 hours of leave because I earned so much credit hours, and that's how my vacation was. But yeah, it's I understand to a degree when people are doing it, if they're doing it because they love the work. If they're trying to get away from something else, that's a different story. But it can also trap you in terms of like doing something. So woo! Thank you, Lord, for delivering me from that 12-hour day.
Oh my God!
And before you move on, Key on she says balancing work, family, and business. Was having this conversation today. Further confirmation, ladies. Good. And right, Cheryl, hey Cheryl. Currently, I'm on vacation with my kids and going to our family reunion this weekend. I too work a lot, but family is very important, and I purposely make sure that I spend time with them. This week is a gift sent, a blessing, and I'm enjoying the time spent. Very good. But next week I'm back on my grind. But yeah, as long as you balance the two. And then Michelle says that balance is important. And hey Rose. Yeah.
Hey Rose.
So yeah, so
you have to balance that. And
yes.
That would be it. I had several more questions for you, but I think for right now that's good.
Great. So I actually I like your last question.
What was that?
Okay, so my last question was, what are personal experiences? That one. What are personal experiences that may have been a downfall?
Okay. And that one, like when I read your question, I was like, okay. And for me, it is whatever you do, make sure that you're doing it for yourself. Don't ever do anything for anybody else, like a person, a leader, a manager, or either like for an organization. Don't sell your soul to an organization. Don't get me wrong, you can work hard, but when you're doing something, make sure that you're gaining something for yourself, whether it be a skill, whether it be like whatever it is, make sure that you're doing it for yourself. And I say that because my career, as I talked about, I have like truly been blessed. But the one thing that stung me is when I stayed on the job because of a manager asked me to. It was like, oh, let's go through. Then when the other people came, she kind of like switched up on me. We had become friends, and I ended up having an open discussion with her, but I left. But it got like really ugly. Basically, it was almost like the playground. You trying to show off in front of a new person, and I'm like, you know me better than that. But it hurt me more because I gave my whole. I would have moved on to a different job, but I said, let me stay to make sure she in the organization. It never was like about me. I had done what I needed to do, set up what I needed to do. My work was done there, and I stayed. So that was a big lesson for me. Make sure you're doing what you're doing for yourself, and don't be afraid to jump out there and leave. Don't stay because of somebody else. Stay because it's something that you want to do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Your loyalty should not be more. You shouldn't have more loyalty to your leadership than yourself.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm talking to a young lady, and I'm finding that that's what she's doing, and she's stagnating her career. So she's trying to make leadership look well, but she is not growing, or they putting her in places that's not fully developing her skill set or using her skill set, but they're using her in a degree that they know she would clean this up for them, but it's not getting her to the next level in her career.
Right.
So you have to be more loyal to you have to be loyal to yourself than that leader. So you're going to do your job 100% while you're there,
Right.
but you got to make sure you're looking out for yourself as well.
Yeah.
So mine is a different twist. I've always said I couldn't be a supervisor. Of course, my husband always said I couldn't be a supervisor because he said people could just run game all over me. Like, somebody could say they had a baby 10 times in 1 year, and I'd be like, "Oh, she got a baby. She could take off work," and you know what I'm saying.
That's an extreme one, but I get what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, I give people the benefit of the doubt
Like
so much that they're like overly.
doubt.
So I've never had a desire to be a supervisor. Just didn't want to get caught in that getting too personal with a person.
Right.
And next thing you know, I can't draw the line. So that's something. So I say that to say, even with my business, my biggest downfall from my personal experiences have been getting too personal and not sticking to my rules and regulations. Like I'll have, I'll hear a pity party or someone can't do the deposit, right? And then you cancel the day of when I done turned away the date for someone else. So those type of things that I've learned running a business, certain things you just have to do because you're gonna take the hit, and I've seen that happen. So with that being the point, just becoming too personal and taking on personal experiences and things like that. So that was one of my falls for that. I had to learn how to separate the two and just keep that,
That
separation.
That business
one,
like
you can get caught up with that.
I have a family and friends discount, so that's the discount. That's the discount. And then I don't mind like quick questions or quick information.
Right.
That's the reason why I took away the courtesy 15-minute free no cost call because I get involved. I love to talk, and I look up and I be like, "It's 2 hours. That's $300 that I just gave away." And then the other thing is that when you provide a service, and I will end up giving out my number, letting somebody call me. And they will call, and it'll be a whole nother like coaching session, or I finish the product, and it'll be a whole different thing. Well, I love helping people, and I want people to get it.
Right.
And it's normally, and here's the funny thing, and I will definitely like poke me and blame me for when I'm engaged. I'm loving it. I'm like, oh, I just had a 2 hour, and I bless her, whatever. But then when it comes to it, and then my work gets backed up, or something goes. And I be like, focus on this right here. This customer pay. You need to make sure you get her. Because you don't want to go and have to give an additional discount or anything. Right. So it's not like being any type of way. It's business. It's handling your business. So that's a very good point.
Right. We need to make sure we stand firm on our decisions.
Yes, stand firm on it. Most definitely.
Yes. Yep. Anything else for leadership principles?
No.
All right. So the topic number 4 and the last one is leadership shift. So this pretty much talks about moving into a leadership position. Once you have like worked in operation, moving into a leadership position is a huge step, and a lot of people break it down into various components. So we're going to go through a couple of challenges, popular challenges that people have when they're transitioning to leadership. And the first one is letting go. Oh my goodness, like me, guilty. That's probably half of the reason why I was there like all day, knowing everything, knowing all of the operations, budget, travel, everything, and wanting to be a part of it because I know. Like, let your staff have an opportunity to look up. I mean, you can train them and you can help them, but you cannot do everything because what's going to happen is you're either going to have these 12-hour days. The first 8 hours, you're going to be in stuff that you don't really have no business. Then you're going to have to make up for the last ending part of it. Understanding that a leadership role and a level that's designed that way is designed that way for a purpose, and it's to lead, not to be the worker bee or the middle person. Like, grow your staff, have them trained, and have them, and even if you play a role to a degree, but you have to back out of it. And that's one like, in my experiences of 28 years, that's been like the most critical challenge that people have had.
Right.
Yeah.
Want their hands in everything. You have to trust your staff. You have to trust. That's why we here.
I call them cookie monsters. Because cookie monsters, you got to have your hands in the job all day long.
Now, while I do believe a leader should know every aspect of his office, but he has his employees and her employees to execute that.
Right.
Yeah, definitely agree with that one. And then the second one is stepping into your new role. So when you are promoted into a management or leadership role, you have a new job. So that's ties into what we're saying. So it's your new job. That's your new responsibility. You can't keep focusing on the other things. So it's levels to it. And when you are a supervisor, you're normally paid higher. That means that your responsibilities are more difficult and more challenging. So one of the things you're responsible for delivering different outcomes. So the stuff that you could do with your eyes closed and you toss it up, shoot it up backwards, it's a level of complexity that comes where it should require you to think more and to be more involved with the research and all of those other things. And then you are getting results through other people. Like, you are so used to like doing it and taking it from beginning to the end, but you have to utilize other people to get the job done.
That's right.
And then the last one is managing upward and downward. So this is like a key critical piece, and managers has to understand that you could have been like the best worker, always ahead of schedule and doing your work. Wherever your weakest link is on your team, that's how strong your team is. So when you are transitioning, you may find a struggle. And I'll never forget, and forgive me anybody who was on FDA's international travel team, but I remember when I got that group, all my other teams, most of them were handpicked or either I was called. They called it my empire at work. Then came the international training. I didn't know about how to visas, passports, and all that. They came, and I kid you not. And I told them, along the way as we went, they were the worst team ever. The worst team ever. Mindset had gotten messed up from people treating them unfairly. But can I tell y'all,
they ended up,
when I left that group, oh my God, they ended up like policies, processes, everything that we ended up doing. Now, it took me maybe like a year and a half to even get through them. And I used to be like, why can't they just be right? Why can't? And it was a horrible thing. But you got to understand, you got to manage upward and downward. And the way that I got to them, two things. One, we had a conference, and it was a go-away, and it was called Essential Piece. I told them how and showed them how everybody's an essential piece of the puzzle. Then the second thing, I protected them from when management. When management came, and if they said something wrong, they know we was going to have a discussion. But when they were accused of something, and they were always accused of interfering with someone being able to travel internationally, we would come back to the rules, and I was like, let's make some policies. Girl, they talk about my SOPs, but those SOPs is what would allow them to stay. And they ended up, I remember when they got their award, oh my God, I was so like proud of them. So sometimes it's the the mindset because of what people experience and what they have gone through by nobody trusting them or helping to protect them.
Right.
So you got to manage upward and downward. It's like those are your children. Like, you're not going to let nobody outside talk bad about your kids or do anything.
Exactly.
So you got to think from that. So it's a huge responsibility. And then number 3 is others' agendas. So the good example that I saw like online is, what if you were responsible for a budget in the various areas? So all of your career, like maybe like 7 years, you were responsible for justifying that budget.
Right.
But then when you move into a different position, it's a whole bunch of different budgets, and your leadership tells you, like, look at all of them. And when you look at them unbiasedly, it's not necessarily that one, but they're looking like, you came from us. You know what we did. We know what we did. So other agendas like that can be like a challenge to you. But that's one of the things that I've like. Another thing, like being unbiased. I can be unbiased, and I actually learned that in college. I had to write a paper that stated why HR could be outsourced, and I was like, HR cannot be outsourced. But that was my challenge, and it was a struggle through school, but I did it. But it helped me to look at things from an even more unbiased aspect of it, and that's how I kind of like done it, like through my career, and able to get through some things with justification. Yeah. So we got 2 more. So the next one is resentment, and we talked about this last week. Every time someone gets a job, that means that some other people did not get it.
Right. So
that's somebody got to get the job, and people get mad at the person that get the. I never could understand that. Even if you balance yourself, or you say I should have got it because they didn't pick themselves. So I don't care if you feel like it was favoritism or whatever it was. That person could not make it happen unless somewhere along the way we don't know about, they put a gun to somebody's head or threaten them or something like that. But yeah, we got to be careful in terms of that.
Yeah, you know, with that resentment piece, real quick, I remember when I got a job at Department of Transportation, and a manager tried to play another coworker of mine. You know her, Lolita Cooper.
Oh, Lolita, you.
Yes, we
That's
were,
a warrior. She's a warrior.
Let me tell you what I loved about her. Even though I came in and our manager gave me all of her duties, she didn't get mad at me. She actually helped me. She still helped me. She still did what she was supposed to do because she knew that it was the manager that was trying to play. And we became
really good friends.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, that was a
That's what's up, Lolita.
She did not get resentment toward me. And I was the newbie.
The other bad thing about resentment is you can have like the best idea and people know it's right. They know it's right,
they reject
but they will block you. Yes. And I'm saying, I have a friend who pretty much is in a new position, and that was the thing that I said. I was like, it don't matter how great your answer is, it don't matter that that's the answer that will fix it. It's because you. What you have to do, and it's a whole thing through understanding communication, understanding how people. So some people are appeased when they're included in it. So I'll be like, okay, let me take my idea and make it their idea.
That's
so
what
I'll be like,
reverse that. It's called reverse psychology.
You take some of their keywords and you get it in
and make them think.
So it's like we said this. And I don't care, like, at the end of the day, as long as we're doing like what's best for the agency. If you want some crack, come on, get some of this. And it's crazy because you're working with adults, but it works.
It works. Taking the I, making the I a we. It works. It works.
Oh, definitely.
And trying to understand people and why they're doing it, or people will make up stuff that don't even make sense, and you're looking like what? But it's like you cannot focus on that. And I know it hurts or whatever, but you got to keep your eyes on the prize, on that strategic goal.
Yes.
And then the last one is acknowledging your developmental needs. Understanding like you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to know everything where you go.
Right.
But tapping into your employees as well as tapping in training, like be a lifelong learner in everything that you're doing. Because even if it's the technical skills that you have, you may not have the soft skills. So
Right.
make sure that you're always open to gaining the experience so that it can keep on helping you
Yes.
expand
Right.
to reach the next level.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
So thank you. Any last minute?
I
things
do.
you wanna add?
I
Sure.
have some nuggets I wanted to drop for
Okay.
some independent self assessments.
Okay.
Okay.
Just some signs that you're not growing. When you don't take risk.
Mm-hmm.
When you can't think of a lesson in the last 90 days. Continue to be students. Like you said, continue to always take a
Yeah.
lesson in everything you
Yeah.
do. When you haven't done anything challenging.
Yeah.
Try some challenging things. When you haven't created a new routine in the past 12 months. The same routine every day,
Yeah.
every day. When you reject change. When you stuck in a phone. Something that happened 3-6 months ago.
Years ago.
20 years ago, and you
Yes.
still, man, I remember, and it's still bringing up business. You stop. When you are predictable, totally predictable, same
Yep,
routine.
same routine.
When you lack of ambition,
Uh-huh.
and then again, just when you're not growing. When
Right.
you're not just making anything new, any change. Every day should be a learning lesson, a change in your
Something.
life, something every day. And when that's not taking place, then you need a self-assessment. Check your engine. That means your engine light on.
Right. So while you get ready for our girls' question, we have one more comment, and that's key again. So true. Persons on the job who are intimidated or look down at others due to current status will block greatness quick. That's for sure. Yeah. So what we got?
Okay. So since we're talking about business, what are deal breakers for business relationships? What are deal breakers for you? Like we always talk about deal breakers when we talking about relationship with a man, or we talking about. So what are the deal breakers in a business relationship?
For me, it really goes with the man.
Yeah, integrity,
trust, and not always like. That's one thing. I know I bring up Southeast a lot, but Southeast. But that's one thing that I learned from the streets, and I can spot somebody trying to play a game. And I've softened up a little bit, but one of the things that I used to say from work when I got new employees, because I wanted to get rid of the stuff, I would be like, look, somebody played it on me, I played it on somebody, or I saw it getting played. So don't come in with game. I don't say it as like direct anymore, but I can spot game, and sometimes I won't even say anything about it, but we're gonna move and shake. So if I stop calling or if I stop dealing, that's one thing. But if it is a business, we're gonna have that discussion, and we're gonna have it, and we're going to have to talk through. But like trust, oh my God, if I can't trust you, then that's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
How about you, Byron?
Same. I agree. Trust and integrity. I'm not going to my ethical part of me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mess up. And I have to communicate. If something is not right, we're going to have to talk about it.
Right.
Boy, and
I'll
people who
say
are
for
not
me,
communicating.
deal breakers meaning I don't even want to fool with you is when I see you taking advantage of other people. Something about when I see a person that takes advantage of a person, it just makes me just withdraw from that person. So that's definitely a deal breaker with business wise. I won't fool with you at all. Of course, the trust, because financially with business, you're doing things financially, and then integrity. I'll say with integrity as well. Integrity just goes across the board in life. Period.
Yeah.
I just think integrity. That word just we
just
just need to wear a T-shirt that just.
I was about to laugh because our whole Steve Harvey and Monique discussion.
Integrity thing.
That was like, yeah.
That's it.
So with that, and then I want to ask this question. I know Bernie, are you dating? Bernie, you dating?
Yes,
you
I
are
am.
dating. Okay,
But
okay,
go ahead.
So I have a
Be
question.
like Jesus Christ. Go ahead.
If you are, and this is asking for a friend, if you are not so much dating, but at this time, I guess you're dating different people. Is that dating? I mean, I've been off the scene, but you're opening up your doors a little bit to see who's a good potential. And so you have one person, this guy, that you definitely, you can't be with that person, but it's just a connection that you have with that person. But then you have another person. There's a potential that you could be with that person, but you just don't have the connection. So do you continue to straddle the fence with both, or do you cut off the one to take the chance with the one of the potential? So, because you're straddling the fence, because one, you know there's not going to be a you and him.
I always think these asking for a friend questions catch me up, so let me try to be as careful as I can.
You want me to answer first?
That's like a real serious question, and it's challenging to like try to figure out, try to like even sort through that. Even, y'all know me, I'm the most analytical person in the world. I probably didn't write it down, but I got a chart like in my head. The one thing that I'll say for sure, your feelings can't do nothing about your feelings, and it don't even matter. But you try to. Stop talking. Go ahead, Bernie. No,
Bernie, bring it.
Here's my thought on that.
Okay.
Me personally, I'm at a time in my life now where when you're dating, you can't be dating someone and if you already know there's no connection, you are not going in the same direction, then you can't waste your time on that. So my thing is, you have to be honest with yourself and that individual. And if that's not where that person falls in line with where you going in your life, then you should not be with that individual. And you shouldn't lead people on. Because sometimes the other person is more attached to you than you are to them. And sometimes we could be taking company just to fill a void, right? So we have to be careful with both of those and be honest with yourself. And to just say, you know what, am I using this gentleman because I can't get to this person, and then I don't know if it's even good to. I know they say date multiple people. I'm not that one to say that
date
good.
different. Okay,
and I mean,
because I heard Myra did say.
I always talk about levels to dating, but so in terms of dating, I'm going with this definition: not necessarily sleeping with all of not necessarily sleeping, but more so going out on dates, and I can definitely say, like for me. That's the thing, and it's. I mean, I'm okay. And in terms of like being open and honest, that's one of the things. I'm very honest, and talking is what I do. So engaging in a conversation. So sometimes it may not be like and I know you said be careful. You didn't say that it was. So sometimes it's not like you're using the other person. Sometimes it may be you in a space of. Right now, I'm chilling, and this is what I want to do. So, all right, me and so-and-so on chill mode. But then when you meet somebody else and you open with a conversation, but your feelings or however it is some things they do or whatever that you're like, okay, but it's open with the conversation. But it's really... I've been told y'all it's complicated, and I still stick with that.
Yeah, it is complicated, but it can be. But what I'm saying, too, is... But I'm saying be careful because
somebody get hurt.
Yeah, somebody gonna get hurt. And for a person like me and my personality, a lot of people gravitate to me. A lot of people gravitate to me, and so I have to be careful that I'm not putting off the wrong signal. That okay, I like you, but because I'm talking to you on the phone, and I make sure I keep my boundaries like that. I really do because it's hard for me to get attached to someone, so I make sure I'm very clear with that.
It's hard for me to get attached to someone.
And my personality just naturally attract people.
Same.
Right.
You know,
so what you're saying is pretty much in most of your
I don't date multiple people.
Okay, you don't date multiple people, but I'm sure you have different friends
at
different levels or whatever. But you have a a guard up
Oh,
that
absolutely.
you definitely keep. Okay.
Yeah, I don't let
I date
everybody. I
multiple,
don't
but I
let
don't
everybody
sleep
in my.
with
Well, I mean, I
don't
guess
let everybody
dating
in my
now
Yeah,
has that
space.
name.
Like,
that kind
going
of
out to
changed
eat,
the
talking on the
time.
phone, like,
The terms of dating, I think that has changed, Bernie. So
committed
Not for me.
relationship.
now, committed relationship, that's something
Yeah.
different. But if you are single, and you meet a guy and you go out on a date, is that not a date?
Yeah.
That's considered a date, right? So you're still single and you meet another person and you go out on a date.
I don't do that.
So we're gonna have
Okay.
we'll have to
That's not my story.
we'll have to talk about that. But I'm silent.
Yeah, I
with
mean, I guess
you.
how do you
Like,
find the right one if you
like,
don't date?
So you go with this one, and I'm not saying
'Cause
anything against
gotta
what
tell
you.
you.
You go with this
You
one
know.
person, and you keep on,
You
keep
know.
on, and then you go to the next person, and you keep on until you break up. Like, I don't have that much time.
Yeah,
Like,
but maybe when Myra come on the show, we can ask her
it really
about
is a good
dating
question.
because I don't
I know
really know.
People have
Well,
different
here's the
opinions.
Because
thing.
I
the
dated when
thing.
I was young, then I got married. So
I said me, right?
Yeah.
So the way I date may not be the way you
Yeah,
date.
Correct.
and that's
Correct.
why I
So-
specifically said
Yeah.
nothing against what you're
Oh,
saying.
it's
Right.
not taken, but it's
No, I was
yeah,
just making a
yeah.
point, and that's what I was saying. Like in terms of like what Trina said, I'm more in alignment with that. But when you talked about like the attractiveness of people, like people like attract, and I talk,
People
and
take things
sometimes
the
my
wrong way.
friendliness
Yes.
will have somebody thinking Myra
and
be
they
like
get
I'm flirting. I'd be
Right.
like, no, I'm not flirting. Like let me
Right.
make sure. So, but
Exactly.
relationships are complex in itself, and I know we
Yeah.
got to bring the show to a close. But relationships are complex in itself, whether it's female male relationship, or even if it's friendship relationship, family relationships, business relationship, workplace relationships. All relationships have a level of complexity to it.
right.
But that love thing, I ain't figured it out. Mine is complicated. I was like, but yeah, and I respect everybody's opinion with
Yes,
it. But
same here.
the whole dating thing, been married for so many years. It's like when I first started, I was like, "What is the dating thing? Like,
don't
what
know
I
what
don't
it's
want."
about.
And they're like, "No, you don't have to go." And this is level of respect or
Yeah.
whatever. I ain't kissing. I ain't doing all that. Like with all that, it's like I ain't doing all
Yeah,
that.
what
but
is
yeah.
dating? Now I'm confused.
Yeah.
What is dating?
So we have to have Myra
Yeah,
to talk
what
about
is
that
considered
and talk
dating,
about
yeah.
different things and have everybody to chime in with that.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So great show. I don't even know. We was talking about leadership.
I know, I
And
just
we
had to
went
throw
on
a
to-
twist
No,
in
it was
for
actually
those
a
who
good
you know.
question.
That twist in there.
Yeah. So we have
every
to
time
make
I ask
sure-
my question, Bernie be like,
yeah, but to each his own, like most definitely in terms of that. So, all right, y'all, we gotta bring the show to a close. Thank you all so much for
Yes,
joining
thanks
us.
for chiming
The
in.
next 3 shows coming up, Hurt, Healing, and Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So, Veronica, my sister Tina, and the others will be on the set,
Okay.
doing a small segment, and then we'll talk about that whole topic. So, our contributing host next week is Sonia. So, she's ready to come on and talk about that as well. And then, of course, we will be talking about that. And then coming up on the 8th is mental health. So, we'll have Joyce come in and she'll talk and she'll share her experiences. And I need to check back with Janice because when she came on the show with the baking contest, I kind of like connected with her.
Okay,
She
okay,
has
and I
a
have
story, a strong story about that as well. And then the following week we're going to do entrepreneurship. So we're working on a couple things, but I'm excited about my book here. But we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and how I think it's great to have a job. You know, I coach in that area, but everybody has a business in them. Everybody has some type of business in them. So
they need a side hustle.
yeah, so come on, ladies. Y'all know how we do this.
Yes.
I got to show my tie-dye skirt.
It's fine.
Okay.
Can we? Shall we?
Let's do this.
Bye, you all.
Yes.